Hi, this is Alex from PHP Academy and welcome to this tutorial on creating a image upload website. Now in this first video we're going to take a look at the overall design and functionality of the project that we're going to be creating. I have called this visual upload, however you're obviously free to choose a name for your project. Now the template file for the design is included in a package that's available to download on the phpacademy.org forum. So if you go over to phpacademy.org/forum, you can download the template from the source code section. Obviously we're not going to be going through the template in the tutorial because this deals with PHP. So once you've downloaded the template, make sure it works in your browser, and I'm going to take you through the functionality of the site. Now, as you can see on the first page, we just have a landing page, we have a login system here, and the user can also click the register button at the top and register using an email, a full name and a password. Now obviously when you're done with the tutorial you can add more fields and perhaps a password validation where the user would enter 2 passwords. However, for the sake of the tutorial I've kept this as short as possible. Now once the user is registered, they'll be automatically logged in. However, if they for some reason have registered and want to come back to the site, we obviously have a login form present. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with a account I've already created. I'm entering my email address and my password and clicking login. Now once we're logged in, the first thing you can see change is the menu at the top. You can see we've got this albums, create album and upload image have appeared, and obviously we now have an option to log back out. I'm greeted by the name that I registered with, and we have a pretty basic page on the home page that just tells us we can start to create albums and also upload images. So the first thing that we would go ahead and do is click on the albums tab and take a look at what albums we have. Now I've created these before the recording of the tutorial, however let's go ahead and delete them. Okay, so if the user hasn't created any albums, you can see we have a message, you don't have any albums. When we go ahead and upload an image, it also says you don't have any albums and prompts us to create an album first. So let's go ahead and create our first album. You can see that we can give the album a name and a description. So I'm just going to call this holiday, and I'm going to say some holiday pictures. I can then go ahead and click create, and that's going to take us straight over to our albums page so we can view what albums we have. Now you can see that we've got the name here which we can click on, and that takes us to the contents of the album. At the moment there's no images, so we have nothing to see. On the album summary page you can see that we have an image count, so it's going to tell us how many images we actually have in the album, and also the description underneath. Now we also have options to edit and delete the album, so we can go ahead and click edit and make changes here if we want. For example, we could add an exclamation mark and click edit. You can see that that's been changed in the description on our album summary page. Obviously we can go ahead and delete the album, but I'm going to take you through uploading an image as well. So we've created an album, now we want to upload an image, so we click on upload image. You can see that we can choose a file from our computer by clicking here, and then we can also choose an album, and this will automatically populate for the amount of albums that the user has. So let's go ahead and create a new album and see that change. So I'm going to create an album called Holiday 2, and we'll just say more. Click create, go ahead to upload image, and you can see that that's automatically been put in there, and we can upload to whichever album we want. Once we've uploaded a file, a thumbnail will be generated, and that will be shown inside of the album. Once we click this thumbnail, then we can view the full-size image once we click on it. So obviously we can also log out, so we have that option as well, and we're returned to the home page. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the directory structure and also the files that we're going to be using in the tutorial. I'm going to tell you briefly what each file does, and also we'll go ahead and look at the file structure as well. Now I have this NB project folder that I don't actually need. That's from NetBeans where I developed it. However, as you can see, I'm using a standard text editor to do this. This is just going to make it a lot easier for us to manage everything. However, probably something like NetBeans is a good idea. Okay, so the files that you'll get included with the design are CSS, images, and template, and you'll also have the index.php file which puts these two templates together. Now let's go ahead and see what I mean by the template files. We've got a header.php and a footer.php. Header is the top part of the page, so the top design. Take a look through this and sort of familiarise yourself with it. And the same with the footer as well. We're going to include that at the bottom of our page. The reason we use a template like this is just to keep the design the same for every file we use, so we don't have to duplicate HTML. Because obviously if we have, say, 10 files in our code or in our project, we don't want to go ahead and make changes to all of the files. So we can just go ahead and, for example, change the title, and that will change it for all the pages where we've included this header on. So let's go back and take a look at the rest of the folders and files. The folders you'll need to create are func and images. Func and uploads, and as well you'll need to create widgets too. Now inside of the func folder you also have thumb.func.php, which is also available to download. And this is a script that generates a thumbnail from an image, and this was adapted from a tutorial on the YouTube channel Better PHP by Jacek from the phpacademy.org forum. So this will also be included with the package as well. Obviously take a look through that file and familiarise yourself with how it works, but the album.func.php image and user function files we're going to be creating ourselves, and in the next part of the tutorial we're actually going to be outlining the function names. Okay, so widget is a folder that holds the login form, and menu holds the menu obviously. These are both dynamic, and what I mean by that is that login will actually process the login as well, and menu will actually display the menu depending on if the user's logged in or logged out. We also have upload, which contains the uploaded files from users, and we're going to be creating an htaccess file as well, just so this folder isn't browsable. Obviously we'll go into more detail about that a bit later. Okay, so let's take a look at the files that we're going to be creating along the way in the tutorial, and just a brief overview of what they do. Now obviously index.php is the page that we land on when we open the folder in our browser, when we view it in our browser. This is just going to contain the landing image for now, but obviously we'll be developing it so we can check when the user's logged in. We also have init.php, which just is going to contain the connection to the database, and it's also going to include all of the functionality we require in our page. And then we can just include init.php on every page we want to include these function files in. Okay, so let's go from the top. We have albums.php. This is where the albums are listed. So once the user's logged in, this is just going to list the albums that the user has already created. We have create album, which is going to give the user a title and description text area, and that's just going to allow the user to enter some text and create their own album. We also have delete album, which is the script that's going to process the deletion of a album. Delete image, similarly to delete album, this is just going to delete an image from a specific album. We also have edit album, that's the page where we show the same text fields but with the album title and description in them. We've talked about index and init. Logouts is just a simple page that's going to actually terminate the user's session. We have register, which is obviously the registration page. We have upload image, which is where the file upload option is available for the user to select the file from their computer, and also allows the user to select the album they want to upload the image to. And we also have view album, which is actually the images, collection of images which belong to the album, and this is where the thumbnails will be displayed for that particular album. So that's essentially the directory and the directory structure and the files that we're going to be using in the tutorial, and we're going to be creating these along the way. So it's entirely up to you whether you create these files initially and then you can start writing code inside of them, However, in the tutorial, I'm going to be creating them as I write each file. So if you head over to phpacademy.org/forum, download the template files and run them in your browser. Just make sure that they work and everything looks okay, and then we'll go ahead and start outlining our functions. Now the reason we outline our functions is just so we know the parameters that we take in, and also so then when we come to actually creating the function body itself, or the inside of the block, we can actually do this, just refer back to where we define the function. So in the next part, we're going to be looking at creating album.func.php, image.func.php, and user.func.php, outlining these functions, and then we'll go ahead and actually start creating the tutorial, or creating the project.